Talking with the experts.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts, where we believe that success is a journey, and every journey is easier with help from friends. That's why we bring you top-notch experts and real business heroes eager to share their lessons from the road to success. We delve into new topics each week: effective marketing strategies, innovative problem-solving, financial planning, and team building. We tackle everything you need to know to grow your business and keep it thriving. Whether you dream about launching your first startup or a business veteran looking to shake things up, we've got you covered. With each episode, you'll gain knowledge, boost your confidence, and be inspired to take action. So, grab a coffee, make yourself comfortable, and join our exciting journey. You're not alone in this. We're here, guiding you, cheering for you, and celebrating each milestone. Let's turn your business dreams into reality, starting today. Here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Talking with the experts.
Garik Tate shares with us the key considerations and steps necessary to position business owners as AI pioneers in episode 502.
Yeah, so for me, for the definition of bottom up, it is where you are leading by example. You're the one who's leading the way, and you're also encouraging people as individuals to be incorporating it into their workflow, and that has its place in both big businesses and small businesses. I think for a lot of companies, it's that are on the smaller side, that's pretty much all you need, as opposed to like a top down, like let's look at the whole business and break it down. But if you are in a smaller business, the tools I would recommend, obviously, if you're listening to this, you probably have tried ChatGPT, but I would say that your training should not stop there. Well, actually, first of all, I would encourage you to think about ChatGPT as a 20-hour learning project. Or sorry, not ChatGPT, but AI, and not to dabble. So many people are just dabbling, and they're not carving out specific creative time to be mastering the tool and understanding it. But
Talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. Today, my guest is Garik Tate, and we're going to be talking about all things AI. So as AI continues to evolve and to reshape industries, business owners must effectively leverage its potential for innovation, growth, and success. And as we talk about AI, we'll dive into the key considerations and some steps that are necessary to position business owners as AI pioneers, and, touch on the other things like the importance of developing a comprehensive understanding of AI and its various applications to identify impactful opportunities. Now, Garik is in the Philippines at the moment. So, yeah, we're looking at all things amazing and some wonderful topics of conversation with him about AI. Welcome, Garik. Thank you so much for joining me today.
thank you, Rose. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about how you got into, the AI spectrum and why is it so important for business owners to position themselves the right way?
Yeah, so I've been obsessed with AI for about as well. I probably started in childhood, but my background originally is in internet marketing, in building digital products and creating go-to-market strategies. Until about 6 years ago, I heard a quote that changed my life, which was that programming is just the art of teaching the dumbest thing in the world how to be smart. And if you really break that down, I think there's some truth in that, because a computer is just ones and zeros. And so what is that? A one is saying I exist, a zero is saying I don't exist. And so now, of course, you have to add, if then logic gates and a lot, more points, but the building blocks of it are as simple and as clear as possible. So you really are bootstrapping intelligence from the ground up. And that idea has just impassioned me for the last, I'd say, about 6 years. And so started a software company 6 years ago, and nowadays, AI, with the advent of OpenAI's products, and now Google is attempting to catch up, is really in the limelight. And so it's a good time to talk about it and to see where we're going.
Yeah, so I guess business owners are using it, but how can they use it to better their business? It's quite a lot of people are frightened of it, but it's a great opportunity to upskill yourself.
Yeah, right now, I actually just was giving a talk on this at a community earlier today. Fundamentally, I think it's helpful to realize that we've been in this place before. The advent of these new tools are similar to the advent of Microsoft Office across all corporate white collar work, across the Western world. And if you had never worked with a spreadsheet before, it was a pretty big jump to learn that technology. If you've never worked with a Word doc before, it's a pretty big jump. And organizations had to adapt. They had to see how the technology was helping their productivity, their revenue. And they did a mixture of bottom up and top down thinking. Bottom up is they encourage people to be learning it on their own time, to be making connections that weren't being made before, being creative. But they also did it top down, finding specific areas and departments to add it into their business. And so I think both types of thinking are really important. And I can dig into some strategies on both of those. But I think that holistic look is a great place to get started.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I love AI because it helps me, with my copy. It helps me write emails. It helps me, draft an ebook. It helps me in so many ways.
Yes.
I'm using it for the podcast. In fact, I've got a program that I use, and just plug in the audio, and it comes up with titles and an introduction for the video that for the particular guest, and it's uses stuff that I wouldn't ever think of, and it's an absolutely amazing tool, and I love AI. But where's it going? How is it good for us, or is it going to be bad for us?
I think on the net positive side, I think that we've been in this place before of of technology disrupting huge fields of work, and I think we're still in a cycle of that. So ultimately, the pie is getting much bigger from all of these new developments. And I think that bigger pie ultimately will be a net positive. Now, of course, there is worries. OpenAI funds one of the largest. What's the phrase? It's escaping me here, but the radical welfare program, basic income guarantee. The word's escaping me right here, but so. We right now are, as a civilization, experimenting with new ideas to make sure the pie is distributed in a way that leads to the best society. But ultimately, I think we're in a position for a very positive outlook. And for people as individuals, what I always encourage them to realize is that your brain will be 30% less effective at making creative leaps if you are in a state of fear. Is that you will make better decisions if you are looking to the future in a positive way, in a way that is leaning forward with your shoulders back, ready to accept the challenges. And to all the people who say that they're worried that their job is going to be taken by AI, there are this is industry by industry specific, but for the most part, it's not that your job is going to be taken by AI. It's that your job is going to be taken by another person using AI when you're not. Mm-hmm. It is amplifying us rather than replacing us. And that can be incredibly liberating because there are some industries, in fact, I would argue many industries, where the constraint of the supply and demand curve is because the demand had locked it off. So I'm sorry, so the supply had locked it off. So for instance, if we could have 10 times more code, would we want that? And I think as a society, absolutely yes. Right now we're hungry for developers. Hiring developers is one of the hardest things as a tech company. That's why we make it one of our specialties in our business. But it's really, really difficult. As opposed to, do we need 10 times more customer service representatives? Well, maybe not. Maybe we need twice as many, but do we need 10 times? That's not for sure. And so we do need to be thinking about where is the puck going so we can get ahead of it, and what are the skills that are really going to become maximized. And I think that a lot of the fear out there is unfounded. I bring up customer service, but and versus coding, but that's probably not the best example, as blue collar jobs are extremely difficult to be penetrated by AI. Additionally, thing about artistic creation, a lot of artistic creation is capped by the supply. We would love significantly more art that's in the world. So I think that there's a lot more industries that are going to be benefited than harmed.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, you're right. It's like when Microsoft came out, and the early adopters loved it, but the late adopters, they just hung off. And really, there's nothing to be frightened of. But I guess it's just changing the way they did things. And I mean, Microsoft made our life so much easier, but it was a learning curve, and AI is the same. I mean, you can't expect to know it overnight, but there's no fear in it. And I don't believe either that it's going to take people's jobs away. I believe that it's going to enhance people's jobs, and the people that are using AI will be the ones that keep their positions. So yeah, I don't see the fear in it. But talking about trends and tools and best practices and whatever, what can we as business owners do to keep on top of everything?
Yeah, so I recommend that that you approach, if you're a business owner, it will depend partially on your team composition. So if you have like a scrappy startup or a smaller business, probably the approach you should be taking is a leading by example approach, of to be using the tools yourself, because it is very quick for culture to be propagated from the top down, assuming you're the owner of the business or the CEO. If you have a larger business, you might need to take a little more of a strategic look. And I can talk about either one of those, but for you, Rose, which one do you think would be good to dig into, top down or bottom up, like big companies or small companies?
I think if it's a small business would be top down, obviously. For a larger business, I think you'd have to teach people from the bottom up. But I think also that the top down needs to be also able to use the tool, because lead by example.
Yeah. So for me, for the definition of bottom up, it is where you are leading by example. You're the one who's leading the way, and you also encouraging people as individuals to be incorporating it into their workflow, and that has its place in both big businesses and small businesses. I think for a lot of companies, it's that are on the smaller side, that's pretty much all you need, as opposed to like a top down, like let's look at the whole business and break it down. But if you are in a smaller business, the tools I would recommend, obviously, if you're listening to this, you probably have tried ChatGPT, but I would say that your training should not stop there. Well, actually, first of all, I would encourage you to think about ChatGPT as a 20-hour learning project, or sorry, not ChatGPT, but AI, and not to dabble. So many people are just dabbling, and they're not carving out specific creative time to be mastering the tool and understanding it. But once you carve out that 20 hours, let's say over the course of a month, so you don't have to take a second job. The very first one is ChatGPT. Assuming you've already done that, which I think probably many people listening to this have, I would recommend then to be expanding out your views. So the typical pillars I suggest people look into are also Chrome extensions that allow them to take the functionality of AI throughout their browsing experience. There's a fantastic Chrome extension called Merlin that will summarize pages that you are. I see you that you're a user of it. It's a fantastic thing for getting summaries of videos, channels. You can also use it to auto write messages. Another one is a extension called Chat Sonic, which helps you a lot with your emails. And there's a variety of others out there. And maybe one of the most effective hinges that swings big doors, one of the most effective things you can do is just get everyone on your team to install those Chrome extensions and give everybody a 1 hour task to engage with it just to see its limitations. That's a fantastic, very 80-20 approach. Beyond Chrome extensions, I would then recommend that people look into tools like Jasper AI, and there's lots of competitors of Jasper. If you just type in Jasper and its competitors, you'll see a big list. But there's tools out there that are essentially very similar to ChatGPT, where they generate content.
Copy.ai is similar, but they're very expensive compared to ChatGPT.
They definitely can be, but if you're leading for me, the only benefit of it is if you're leading an organization where potentially some members of your team, you want to empower them, but they might need a little more hand-holding, or like a platform that's a little more built for that thing. ChatGPT is something where it's like, it's an omnibot. It can do anything. So it can be a little bit intimidating. But I completely agree. I typically use ChatGPT with a method called AI personas, which is where you tell them first, you are this way. You are a master bot from my business. Here's my description. Here's your, personality traits, et cetera, et cetera. But for a lot of people, that can be pretty intimidating in the beginning.
Yeah. It took me a while to get to learn how to use the prompts correctly, so that I was just putting in basic words and it wasn't really understanding and giving me back the stuff that I needed. But once I introduced myself to it and told it my personality and what I was expecting from it, now it writes pretty much the way I speak, and it's amazing. And I did ask it to tell me what I'm like, and they said, well, I'm an AI bot, I can't tell you what you're like. But they remember things like, so if I have 10 chats in a row and then all of a sudden I change tact and ask it to do something else, it remembers back to the other things amazingly. And it astounds me. I'm surprised by it every single time I use it.
It's a great tool. And if you've already covered these tools and studied it, the last one I would recommend that people look into is tools like Zapier. And there's some competitors to Zapier, but essentially it's an integration platform that allows your online platforms to communicate with each other. So think about Google Forms, communicating Google Forms to your CRM. So if somebody fills out a form, that information goes to your CRM, or it goes to your MailChimp, or it goes to a special database. You can automate and integrate your platforms together so that when something happens on one platform, another action is taken on other platforms. And you can put ChatGPT in the middle of that by learning it with tools like Zapier. So imagine every time that you get a new prospect who's filled out one of your forms, ChatGPT absorbs that data. Heck, maybe you even get really fancy, use another tool like browse.ai, scrape their website or their LinkedIn, and you customize a message just for them. You put that into your drafts, your email drafts, and your Gmail, and then bam, there you go. All of that is drag and drop with no code. Actually, let me take that back. I think the scraping is something that I still need to investigate as possible with no code, but if it's not there already, I'm sure it will be very soon. But you can get there with no code, just playing with these tools. So I really recommend people think of this as a hero's journey. Carve out 20 hours of deep work rather than dabbling, and then see what you can create, and then give your team the same amount of time to carve that out. So a bottom up approach, I think that's the best way to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I think business owners, whether they solo or whether they have a team, using AI. I mean, everything's getting AI. Zoom's even got AI now, so everything's getting some sort of AI into it. And so the quicker that you learn it and stop and don't be afraid of it, then I think the better that your business is going to be. It's only helpful. I mean, honestly, we've had sort of pseudo AI up until this point, but until it sort of became, like when Jasper and copy.ai came out, people, hadn't heard of it. And so, I think they're such great tools, and I don't understand why people are frightened of it. And I don't understand why they think it's going to take over the world. I think they've been watching too much 1984 or something.
One view of AI to a little bit better understand, where it's going and what it's doing, at least for myself, is to think of it a little more through a biological lens. So these a lot of these neural nets, actually all these neural nets are simulating a Darwinian model of evolution. They're saying that if you mutate in a way that is fitter, will keep you, otherwise will cull the rest of the models. And so they evolve over time. And so looking into nature and seeing what are the problems that nature has solved, where are the areas where it hasn't solved. Like where in nature there's a lot of things that have no static end. It's constantly evolving, it's dynamically changing. I think gives a lot of context to some of the worries that we have around AI. And there's certainly some things that we want to be careful about. There's certainly a lot of important decisions in front of us as a society. But I think that as we're getting closer and closer to the future, as we always are, the clarity can be improving. And I feel like a lot of people are still talking about AI like they did 10 years ago, as we've just gotten much clearer, and we can see a lot of our predictions have been incorrect, and we can start refining our thinking. So I would definitely recommend that people stay humble about it, and let's take it seriously. But I think that there's definitely some reasons to be optimistic.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, new tools such as this can only enhance our lifestyle, work lifestyle. As I can't say that it's becoming a hindrance in any way. I can only see that AI is going to be of benefit to business owners from now on, in any form of how they do their business. I mean, I can't wait till, even, like, I guess, financial management software like QuickBooks or Xero or Myo, they have some sort of AI already built into them. So, we've been using AI for years and without having a name to it, I guess.
Yeah, it's a technology that works very well for when there's clear inputs and outputs, and for when those inputs are things that are easy to put into the system. So, I think we're surprised at how many things we thought were very human turn out to not be so hard to replicate. There's AIs out there that are becoming personal companions and becoming, life coaches, therapists. Actually, one of the projects that my company is working on is creating a life coach in an app. Because there's a variety of places we thought were very human fundamentally, but the inputs were clear. You would talk to the camera, you would talk to them, and the output was also clear. But what's harder is in situations where the input is not so clear. So, like, an accountant is going to have a lot more context than just the numbers in a spreadsheet. They're going to be talking with you. They're going to be understanding what your goals are. They're going to be getting context from other businesses or other clients. They're going to be connecting a lot of dots that an AI will not be able to do until we can make those inputs and outputs clearer. And I feel like that's part of the march of civilization, the march of progress. We are, getting better at defining inputs and outputs. But that's a very Western approach to things, and it has its uses, but fundamentally, life is very messy, which is partially why blue collar jobs have such a moat around them. They're not easy for AI to penetrate because reality is messy. So the inputs and outputs are very unclear. I won't go into it, but I think people can understand that. So if the inputs and outputs are clear, AI is going to do it, and everything else, we've got a ways in front of us.
Yeah. Do you think we'll ever humanize AI? Do you think there's that sometime in the future, or?
It's my view. I think that there's a lot of wisdom in the company Neuralink and their ideas, which is to say that we already have a bandwidth connection with technology. It's just how fast our fingers can type and how fast our eyes can see the devices in front of us. And potentially, by increasing that bandwidth, we will begin to merge more and more with these machines. And to do that in a way that we still value ourselves as individuals and value ourselves as society is really important to make sure that's in alignment with the values we've put forward as society. But fundamentally, I think it's the right approach as opposed to trying to imprint humanity on these devices. It's more about becoming more of ourselves with them. I think that goal is it has more legs to stand on as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I agree. I think we still have a long way to go, and I don't think AI is going to take over the world anytime soon.
Yeah, one thing to be noting is because we always extrapolate exponential curves, and that's very hard as humans, but every exponential curve is not actually exponential. It's an S curve where it spikes up and then it levels off. The secret of having a very long exponential curve is that we stack 1,000 S curves on top of each other. So they look like they're a continuous string. But if you look at chip manufacturing, Moore's law, it's not that there has been any one innovation. It's that there's been hundreds of innovations over the last 100 years that has created this seemingly constant exponential curve. But you need to find new domains of knowledge and engineering to find those new S curves. And a lot of that stuff, does run out. And so it's important to look at this technology and realize what have we already accomplished and how much better is it going to get, and what are the problems yet that we still need to solve. I think that there's a lot of parts about being human that we have not solved, and all of the technology we're taking for granted right now comes from the 2017 white paper, Attention is All You Need, which introduced transformers into the mix. But we still need a few more major innovations like that before we come to a true AGI sort of position.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think we still have a long way to go yet, and just little steps and just keep plodding along, and we'll get there where we need to be. Garik, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. Where can people find you? Where can they find Valhalla and of course yourself?
Yeah, so people who want to reach out to us, would recommend you can check me out on LinkedIn, send me a connection and message there. Garik Tate, Garik, Tate, spelled Tate. And additionally, you can check out our website, valhalla.team. We specialize in helping companies build great software teams and build development teams, and we make sure that their development team is hyper-tuned for success. Additionally, right now we're looking for business partners that want to start companies or transform companies with AI, and we want to start those ventures to then exit from in 2 to 3 years. So anybody who's interested in that, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or contact us from our website.
Wonderful. Now, if you were to give some words of wisdom, whether it's to do with AI or to something personal, what would you give?
My favorite quote of all time comes from the Pulitzer Prize winner, Annie Dillard, which is, how we spend our days is how we spend our lives, which I think marries the concept of both present and future very, very well. And to make sure you stay in, these future things are very exciting and they can be very intellectually stimulating, but you need to keep your feet on the ground and know that hopefully the life you're building with your days is the one you want to live.
Absolutely. Yes. Live in the moment.
Yes.
Garik, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your take on AI and how it's so much better for us moving forward. But yeah, you're right. Keep our feet on the ground and, don't put your head in the clouds and look, far beyond the horizon, because you could find something quite scary there.
Thank you, Rose. It's been a pleasure.
Bye-bye for now.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.